Welcome to the Permit Required Confined Space Entry course. I'm your instructor, Sheldon Primus with Shelbro Safety and the National Environmental, Occupational, and Safety Training, Inc., NEOSTI. So I am going to teach you the nuances of Permit Required Confined Space as it relates to construction, general industry, and maritime. I will try to do this simultaneously. However, when it's time to break into each individual section, what I'll do is I will just mention that this part is construction only, this part's maritime only, this part's general industry only. So that's the structure of how the course will be, as well as I'm going to use myself as an instructor. I'll do some videos that I've pulled off the YouTube channel that I usually go to, and I'm going to give you some downloadable information. There'll be a quiz after every section except the intro section, but just so that you could show your proficiency in the topic. So this is set up to help you where you would have the classroom training on the overall view of Permit Required Confined Space, and then you take this classroom training and you make it specific to your organization with your enclosures. So that's how this course is set up. So the objectives for this course, I'm going to just go ahead and discuss the scopes, all the applicable parts of the standard for each one, determine the elements and understand those elements of the confined space, identify roles, training requirements. We're also going to talk about rescue, and then all the little nuances required for just making sure that you stay safe in a permit required confined space. So that is going to be our objectives for this. I am going to start off with a video, but I'm going to do this separately than what you're seeing here. What I do want to point out is that 50%, and I have seen it 60% in some cases, of workers who die in the enclosed spaces are due to those people who feel, oh man, there's my buddy down there, I gotta help my buddy out, so I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna go rescue my buddy. That's a situation that will end up in not one retrieval but two retrievals. So it's very important to have discipline when you're dealing with permit required confined space if there is an emergency situation. So I'm gonna have you look through these things, and then after we go through this, before we do chapter 1, we'll go back to that video in the actual course setting. So here's your common factors of death or incidents that happen. Failure to recognize enclosed space. So some people see spaces, they may not think it's a permit required confined space at all. So what they're going to do is they'll go into it, perform the regular work. They may even be creating their own hazards such as welding or cutting, brazing, something that's going to create another hazard while they're in that space and then become a deadly combination. Some of the things that you'll also have as part of the contributing factors is not trusting each other and not trusting trusting physical senses, saying, oh, well, I could smell if it's too much sulfides. That rotten egg smell is going to tell me right away if it's too much sulfide, if it's really strong, or something else, and not using actual calibrated meters to help them perform any atmospheric testing. That's more important than trusting your senses. Another thing is the tendency to underestimate certain dangers. That's when someone's like, well, it's kind of hazardous here, but I think I could get away with whatever I need to do. And that leads right into the second one, which is complacent attitude. And that complacent attitude could be, well, I'm pretty sure you've heard that phrase a few times. Once that phrase comes up, especially in a permit required confined space, then that means that you are in harm's way. It could be dangerous for you to go into that space. And then the last one is attempting to save a coworker, which we talked about previously. So that's some of the leading factors of death. So before we get into chapter 1, we're going to stop here, let you review that video that I was first going to show you regarding a permit required confined space entry that turned deadly.